is kind of weird because there seems to be a shortage of 1070, so I actually seem to have snuck in it.
Okay, so the first you'll notice is the box. It's just got savage glare really. It is really bright. On the back side you can see a little hole there, and you can, I think maybe better see, you can see the part number inside, so you can actually see into the actual back of the graphics card. Let's get this bad boy open. Let's have a quick look and see what we have inside. Okay, we don't need you anymore. Okay, standard box, nice glossy EVGA on the front. Okay, so we've got an EVGA folder or sleeve, and what have we got inside? That's just a sleeve, so we've got random particular information. What's this? Which looks like a standard promotional poster. Okay, look at that later on. Stickers, if you're a fan of stickers. I personally won't be sticking them on my cases or anything, but I suppose you could have a bit of fun with them. Manuals, and I was expecting a disc in there somewhere, but anyway, under the polystyrene we have the GTX 1070 card itself. Kind of plastic casing. Okay, usual EVGA power adapters. Yeah, 2.6 to 8 and 2.6 to 8. Okay. Look at the graphics card itself. Obviously, you'd expect it comes in an anti-static bag. Okay, so here is the card itself. Comes absolutely caked in plastic on both sides, the front and the back. It's got a nice brushed aluminium plate on the back. EVGA GeForce GTX 1070. I believe this one actually does have custom RGB lighting on the front as well. I haven't actually seen that yet. You've got on the top EVGA GeForce GTX 1070 for the win, which I think also lights up. Standard ports on the side there, which I'll cover later on. Two 8-pin power ports. All in all, looks pretty nice. So that's the unboxing part done. Let's do a review on it. Okay, so you can see I've got the GTX 1070 firmly in the amplifier. It doesn't fit, it's too tall. I'm not going to try and force it and damage it, but yeah, I just tried to close it and it was far too tall for it to actually physically fit in the amplifier. But you know, that's a bit of knowledge for you guys. If you're looking to buy it for the amplifier, it won't fit. You'll have to have the lid open to play, and it still works just as well. But yeah, it's going to have to stay open if you want it to go in the amplifier, so just bear that in mind. The custom lighting on it is pretty cool. As you can see, it's on the demo mode at the moment, but you can set it to an LED visualizer, so you can get it to change colours at your choosing. So for example, I'll change to red, I'll change to red, change it to like a turquoisey blue, change to blue. Boy colours, yeah, we'll stick to Hockeyboard green. I think it's probably the best colour for my choice. So as you can see, I will move the video now. Okay. It's all lit up at the top as well. GTX 1070 logo at the top is all lit up. Same colour. Just turn that screen off to get light. There we go. Sitting in the amplifier. The fans do not spin on default. They'll only spin when they hit a load. When it's being stressed out. I will show you the screen just to let you see the visualizer itself. Just go to the settings down the bottom, and here's the color. So this is just the LED visualizer. You OK, select your color, and you see hit the OK button. I'll see if I can get it in there as well. Hit the OK, bang, and it turns to red. So you can actually change the colors like I was demonstrating earlier. It's got a couple of demos. I think it just cycles through colors. So if you hit the OK on that, that will just cycle through a selection of colors. Obviously, it's not going to be that great to sit in the amplifier for me because I've got it behind my screen, so it's out of the way. The fan you can hear is the built-in one into the amplifier, which I suppose I can disconnect shortly for you because it doesn't actually need to be running with the case open. So what I'll do is I'll disconnect it, and then we'll see as and when the fans kick in. Okay, briefly touching back, something else that I've noticed while playing around with the effects on this, you can get some LED effects. So setting them to on, you've got variables. So you've got breathing. So for example, breathing speed, I don't know, just leave it like that. Brightness, you can put it on full, and it should just start pulsating the colours. There you go. We've also got dual flashing. So that will just do like a double pulsation. We've also got audio flashing, which is quite cool because I'll turn the brightness up. If I want to, obviously it's going to work in game, but we're not in game at the moment. So if I'm just going to play a video, bit of bum funk freestyler. See it's pulsating to the sound of the audio, which is pretty cool on. So it's pretty cool. It's going to be pretty good in game. Obviously, when you're shooting bits and pieces, it's going to light up as you want it to. I personally like the breathing. Yeah, it's entirely up to you. But I just thought I'd chuck that one in there, as I'd only just spotted that. Okay, I've disconnected the fan from the amplifier, so now as you can hear it is completely silent, and the reason it's silent is the fans are not running. It's because it doesn't need to run until it actually gets used and gets stressed out, so the fans don't have a standard run speed, which is quite handy. Okay, I'm just going to run a quick Freedom Mic bench test to see how these when these fans kick in and what the GPU temperature is at. Running in windowed mode, so I can have the Precision XOC up at the same time. It's just loading itself now. Currently GPU clock 1037 MHz and mirror clock 3800. I've left on default settings, I'm not going to overclock this. Okay, currently at 61. Oh, there we go, fans kicked in. Sitting at 62, it's now dropping, the temperature's dropped right down now, 54, 55, 53, 52. Set the fans to auto, so I want to see where they're kicking in. So you can see it's not going to run until it actually hits a certain temperature. We're just trying to ascertain where that is, because just a little concern. Priority, I mean the temp target says 83 and the fans are set to automatic. I mean I can auto is enabled for the fan. So yeah, I can actually get the fans running at a standard RPM on a constant. I just don't know where the jumping off point, if it's saying power target is 100%, temp target is 83 degrees, offset and mem offset are both on +0, I've not toyed with them. So I can just have the fans running, for example, at 25% or 25% if I can get it on. There we go. What that'll do. There we go. So there, I can actually set them. Just quick show you guys what I'm talking about. You can actually just set the fan temperature, the fan speed. I mean, I had it on auto for that, and it didn't really kick in until it started hitting high temps. I mean, technically, 83 degrees is what the temp target is. So I'm guessing that's the max it will let it get to. If it gets to that, the fans will kick in. But if you're going to be doing gaming, I wouldn't imagine it would take long to start hitting them high temps. Even with it on 25% fan speed, which is 680 RPMs, it is near enough silent. I mean, obviously, if we run the fire strike again, I've got it in window mode again, so we can just have the where's the OC disappeared to? There it is. It's been interesting to see if the fans are set at 25%, what the GPU temp will hit. If it's, I mean, these fans are practically silent at this temperature, so just whether when we stress it out, it's going to push the temp up if that's not high enough. So yeah, it's instantly put the fans on auto. They've gone down to 0 RPM, so they've gone off. I mean, I personally am a bit concerned the fans are not running at all. If I was to put them at, say, 50% 55% there, they should kick in. There we go, they're kicking in. GPU clock and memory clock. I said I have left this on default settings, so there is nothing I've changed. This is just how it runs on basic. I mean, the temperatures, it says drop down to auto, so that's what it has it on as default automatic. So if I leave it on there, we'll just see if it hits enough for the fans to kick in. See the temp creeping up. I think it was hitting around about 60 before I intervened last time, so we'll just let it go. Mid-50s. You can hear you can hear the graphics card wearing away, but it's not actually kicking in the fans at all. In 60. And what the fans that I've dealt with at work around about this, they'll always be running, but they'll go ham around about 70 odd. That's when they told me to see that didn't even hit, you know, much over 60. Physics test, I'm not expecting it to really stress it out at all, unfortunately, but oh, he says that. The fans sort of kicked in and jumped off again. GPU is sitting around idly about 58. I'm hoping the combined at the end is going to give it a bit of a kick and push it up. You can see it's kind of nudging the fans every now and again, but it wasn't really enough to kick them in full swing. Now this, hopefully, I think this only test is only about 40 seconds long. Hopefully we can get the temperatures up enough for the fans to kick in. See, the fans have started again, 200 RPM. And the test hasn't even started, so let's drop that down to 0. Come on, load the test. Here we go. 60 already. 3 Canon. I don't think this is going to be enough to stress it. We're just running in it in a standard 1080. Oh, fans are kicked in slightly there, but that was only when we hit 63 degrees. So as you can see, it's kind of tweaking it just enough to get them to start kicking in, but it's not enough for them to run solidly. So okay, just to give you guys a heads up, I'm going to run 3 fire strike tests with it in the amplifier. We're going to do a 1080 fire strike, a 1440 fire strike, and a 4K fire strike. I'm going to post the test up. I won't put the whole tests on here because they're going to be too long, so I will just crop and edit them so you can see the results and the max temperature that we hit when running the tests. So yes. Okay, the end result, graphics score is 1478, physics score 6468, we're not going to focus on that too much, and a combined score of 3898, and that is on the Fire Strike on 1080p resolution. And that is with a maximum temperature of 68 degrees. Okay, so we're running, obviously the resolution is 4K at the moment. I'm running the Fire Strike custom as we did before, and I'm running it in 1440p, and we're going to just quickly see how it scores and what the GPU temperature reaches up to. Okay, so we just finished the 1440p test. The graphics score was 8612, the combined score was 3498, and we had a max temperature on the GPU of 69 degrees. We're now running the third and final test. This is going to be a 4K benchmark. Custom settings as we've used throughout, and we will also give you a full max temperature of the GPU. Okay, so this is the end result of the 4K test. We hit temperatures of 70. Obviously it's quite a quick test, I wasn't expecting them to go that high. And a full score of 4,369 and a combined test of 2,645. I will chuck a graph together so we can compare them to previous cards. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the features of the EVGA GTX 1070 for the Win Gaming Edition. It's currently rocking 1920 CUDA cores. It has a base clock of 1607 MHz with a boost of 1797 MHz. It's got 8 gig of GDDR5 RAM, which is the same as the 1080, so I was surprised that it had a similar memory size. Bandwidth is 256 bits and a memory clock of 8008 MHz and a memory bandwidth of 256.3 gigabits per second. Some of the features why I went for the Win Edition is the custom LED lighting, the RGB LEDs that are on the front of the plate, which you'll see in the video. Looks pretty good. It looks similar to the Strix that the Asus does, where you can customize LEDs and stuff. You can get breathing and all that sort of stuff, so you can play around with the settings and that. So that was something different I wanted to have a look at. Also, the ACX 3.0. Now, what they've done here is they've changed the fans. They've optimized the fan curve to create less noise when it's spinning, so they're very quiet compared to the predecessors, the other fans that they've got in the previous versions. They've also changed the fan ball bearings. A lot of them have single ball bearings. They've got different setup. These have got 2 in now. So basically, what it's projecting a 400% increased longevity life. So it's going to last up to 400% longer. So it's not meant to dry out and seize up like some other fans do. It's got also they've got the straight heat pipe 3.0 increased heat pipe density really. So it's going to give an average of 10% cooler. They've also changed the fin design of the heat slats as well, which is supposed to make it 13% quieter, making it easier job for the fans. And they've also got a cooling plate in between the memory and the fans as well, which is supposed to keep the memory at 15%, around about 15% cooler than it normally is, and 13% cooler GPU MOSFETs. So what does this really mean? I mean, obviously keeping the GPU cool is obviously going to be best for performance for one. It's also going to give you a lot more scope if you want to overclock it. The last thing you want to do is getting it, if it's running at a high temperature anyway and you start overclocking it, you're more likely to cause issues, completely fuck it up. So the fact that it is able to keep cooler a lot easier, and it gives you a lot more scope to overclock it and not run them temperatures too high. All that said and done, I mean, the card is quite nice. I said I had the 1080 beforehand. I was quite surprised at the difference between the two. They both have 8 gig of RAM. Obviously, the CUDA cores, the 1080's got 2560, so there is an increase there, and it's got, you know, a higher memory clock and a bigger memory bandwidth as well, which is where the difference in performance is mainly going to be. The Fuller Win has a higher clock setting than the 1080 Founders Edition, which you would expect. I mean, at the time I couldn't get anything other than the Founders Edition for the 1080 because they'd really just come out. Price wise, you're looking around about £450 for the Win EVGA Edition. They are slightly different depending on what brand you go for. You can get the Zotacs and the Armors slightly cheaper, but I've always had EVGA for my graphics cards or MSIs, and I just find that they're really good, so I've kind of stuck with them. Going back to the ACX 3.0, another good thing is the fact that the fans are a lot quieter and they're performing at a much higher level. It's also going to save you on power consumption as well, which is not something I'm too worried about, but it also keeps the wattage down with the GPU itself, so it also helps with performance. So, in conclusion, when you look at the GTX 1070, obviously you're expecting a difference in performance between the 1070 and the 1080. The 1080 fares a lot better when you're playing in 4K. I mean, all these tests were done, nice to stress, were done in my amplifier. I haven't put it into the Air 51 yet. I will do a video later on where we compare the two, like I've done with the previous ones. We'll do some gaming on the Air 51 with the GTX 1070 in there, and we'll see how it fares. So the graphics test, take them with a pinch of salt. They're going to be on the amplifier, which, as we know, is sort of bottlenecking with the GPU that's in the laptop, so just bear that in mind when you see the scores. Oh, mine's scoring higher than this. Well, it probably will do if you're not using the amplifier, or if you're using the external screen with the amplifier, you're going to get a higher frame rate, so just bear that in mind. All in all, it's a very good card. It absolutely churned through the games that I put onto it in 1080p. You're hitting, you know, 190 FPS and all of them on high settings. When you're upping it again to, I mean, I don't have 2K settings on a lot of my games. I don't think my screen has 2K settings. It's literally 1080p, and there's a couple in between that are not really relevant, and then it goes up to 4K. So that's all we did, a 1080 and a 4K test. When you go to 4K, it did kind of handle 4K. It did have any issues. I mean, they were on high settings. You could knock the settings down to medium to scrape a few extra frames out of the game there. But I think on average we had between 39 and 49 is what we're scoring averagely in across all three games in 4K. So it is playable. The difference being, obviously, when I had the 1080, if you really wanted to get them extra frames and be able to play it on ultra settings and higher, playable in 4K, that is the difference between the 1080 and the 1070. I mean, as I said, this was in the amplifier, so on the desktop, I'm hoping to see a slight improvement because purely the processor is not going to be a bottleneck and it's not going to cap the GPU at all, so it should be a bit more free-flowing. Yeah, all in all, it's a very good card. Got no gripes with it, really. It's pretty decent. And the only reason why I could see possibly, I mean, budget-wise, yeah, it's a bit expensive, £450, but it is the cheaper option of the two between the 1080. I mean, if you're looking to do the same sort of games I'm doing in a desktop, not on the amplifier, obviously, and you've got 1080 screens, then this is probably the card for you. I mean, the only time I'd suggest going up to 1080 is if you're going to be playing 4K. So yes, if you've got any questions, stick them in the comment section down below. Always enjoy replying to comments and bits and pieces. Give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. I do appreciate all the support. Let me know any future videos you'd like to see. May that be a different graphics card. I'm looking possibly getting an AMD just to compare AMD and AMD ATI. Sorry, get the Fury, maybe the R9X Fury it's called, R9X Fury. Comparing that to the new 10 series may be an option as well. So let me know if there's any cards you'd like me to get in and test for you. I can get them now. So other than that, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you again soon. How cool are my Hulk socks, guys? Can't go wrong. Hulky boy socks for the win.